La Yashal. Aymadim, which means to stand. Sar, Panya Hakwadam, which means Wa Hakwadam means turn and face the east. We're going to do the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayu, Qudash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakufka, Daba'a, Batazaka, Ayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashemaya, Nathalanawa, Lacham, Kal, Yawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kabawak Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabawak Yanawa, Wala'a, Dabaya'a Nawa, Banasayawan, Abal, Hawashai Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahatapara, La Awalamya, Aman. In the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Hakak, the power, in the Hebrew, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahawashah, Babukwashah, Nathalanawa, Hakak, Lavapa'ah, Machala, Mukal Marawa, Hakak, Latahar, Hamatazariah, Hakak, Lahakwiyam, Hamakyam, Hakak, Arakawa, Hatama'ala, Lagarashad, Bahashim Yahawashah, the Wada. In the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahweh, thank you, so be it. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew, Asha'ah, Ayanya, Al-Hoharya, Ma'ayah, Yaba'ah, Isaiah, Ma'ai, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'arataza, Ayathan, Lamawat, Regalika, Ayanawam, Shamarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashan, Shawamar, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al-Yah, Yanyanka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'a, Yakayaka, Wayarak, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makaurai, Yashamar, Afnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza'afka, Wabawa'aka, Ma'ita, Wa'ai, Awalam, Aman. In the English, I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from which cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. So be it. Psalms 83. Psalms 83 in the last one, Kodash. Alahaya, all damayalaka, all takarash, wa all tasakwat, al kayahana, awayabdika, yahama yawan, wamasanayaka, nasa'awa, ra'ash, al aimaka, ya ayayamwa, sawad, wayatha ya'ay tazawa, al tazapawanyaka, amorwa, lakawa, wanahakidam, magoya, Wala'a, Yasukar, Sham Yasha'ala, Aiwad, Kaya, Nawa'ai Tazawa, La, Yahadwa, Al, Aslaga Alika, Barak, Yakarakwa, Ahalya, Adawa, Wa Yashama'aliyam, Mawa'aba, Wahadayim, Gabal, Wa Imalan, Wa Imalak, Palashat, Am Yashabia, Tazawar, Gam Ashawar, Nalawa, Imam, Imam, Hayawa, Zarawai, Labanya Lawat, Salah, Aisha Laham, Kamadian, Kasaya, Sara'a, Kayabyan, Banakal, Banakal, Koyashwan, Nashamadwa, Ba'ayan Da'ara, Hayawa, Daman, La Adama, Shayathamwa, Nadiyamawa, Ka'ira, Wakaza'aba, Wakazabat, Wakazazal Manai, Kal, Nasayakamwa, Ashar, Amarawa, Nayarashat, Lanawa, Na'ara, Alahaya, Shayathamwa, Kagabila, Kakwash, Lapanyarata, Ka'ash, Taba'ira Ya'ira, Wakalahaba, Talahat, Hoyam, Khan, Taradatma, Basa'iraka, Wabasawapaka, Dabahala, Malaha, Panyaham, Kwalawan, Wayabakwashwa, Shamkayahawa, Yabashwa, Wayabahalwa, Aya'ai, Wayahaparwa, Wayabadwa, Wayada'awa, Kaya, Atha, Shamka, Yahawa, Labadka, Al-Yawan, Al-Kab, Arataza, Aman. In the English, keep not thy silence, O Yahweh, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher also enjoyed with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Salah. Do unto them, as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the book of Kasan, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oran, and like Zered, yea, all their princes, as Abba, and as Aruda, who say, let us take to ourselves the houses of Yahweh in possession. O my power, make them like a wheel, as the stove before the wind, as the fire burning a wood, as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shade, that they may seek thy name. O Yahweh, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the Most High over all the earth. So be it. The blessings in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Yahweh, wa Yahweh Shai, wa Mayaka Allah, wa Alahayim, Matazad Ya'ah, Alawat Yahana, Ha Alawatyin, Ha Saranyim, Ha Kudazayanyim, Ha Sayayoyim, Wa Ha'akwafyin, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, the water of mud. In the English, bless you Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yohanan, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. The prayer of the curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, listen to us now, right now, send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the school. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen, and shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel that refuse to give to the school. Force their riches to enter thy sanctuary. send ills and curses, and punishment and destruction to the Edomites and the nations, and the drug dealers, the court system, the prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek, synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Egyptology, Aryan Nation, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space programs, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street, open up the internet and the airwaves, the cable access channels, and the radio channels. Convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us and bring swift destruction to all the heathen that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues, cause them to go to and fro through the earth and consume them. Let the plagues strike the house of the thief and the murderer. Let Yahushua, Michael, and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers and punish all the heathens that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that it's the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media, throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake out thy coming. In the name of Yahushua, thank you always, so be it. Sar, which means to turn. Yeshabu, which means to be seated. All right. This is the Lord's Sabbath service. All right. So today is the Lord's Sabbath service. Where we left off is with Deuteronomy 28. I'm going to get that for us. And we left off on verse 21, so we'll start at verse 22. All right. Now remember, the Sabbath service is very important. Another important class to come to. Of course, all classes are important to come to and to attend. But the Sabbath service is where you learn about your culture. The Sabbath service is where you learn your heritage. Salaki. This is where you learn all of this. All right. You learn your culture, your heritage, and the traditions of the Lord in class as well, in other classes. But the Sabbath service is an example, a visual example of a tradition that we've kept always according to the Bible, which is the Sabbath. All right? And conducting the Sabbath service. All right? This is a tradition that Israelites have always kept in the Bible. From Moses all the way down to Christ, to Paul, etc., etc. The Sabbath and the Sabbath service has been a tradition among Israelites for the longest time now. All right? So we're going to get to it. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 22 in the Hebrew. The Kaka, Yahweh, Bashakapath, Wabakwadaf, Slaki, Wakwadakta, Slaki, Wabakwadakah, Wabadal, Wabadalak, Wabadalakwa, Wabakharakar, Bakharakar, Wabakharab, Wabashadak, Wabashadakwan, Wabashadak, Wabashadakwan, Wabayarakwan, Warad Pawan, Pawak, Salaki Waka, Salaki Waradak, Salaki Waradak Waka, Abadka. Verse 23. Wahayawa, Shamyaka, Ashar, Al, Ra'ashka, Bachashaf, Salaki Nachashaf, Waha Arakaza, Ashar, the Chaf Yaka, Barazal, It's like a bazaar. Yatan Yahweh, verse 24. Yatan Yahweh Matar, Aratazaka, Abak, Wa'apar, Man, Hashemayim, Yarad, Aljaka, Hashemadka. Verse 25. Yathanka, Yahweh, Nagat, Lapanya, Ayatyaka, Baradka, Achar, the Thataza, Alyawa, Bachashab, Salaki, Wabashabai, the Rakyum, Thanawas, Lapanyawa, Wayaya, Salaki, Wahayayah, Lazaiwa, Lakal, Malakwa, Salaki, Malakwa, Salaki Malakwa, Malakwa, Ha'arataza. Verse 26. Wahayatha. Salaki Wahayatha. Salaki. Salaki, verse 26. Wahayatha. Nabal, Tabalatka. Lama akal, lakal, Iwak, Hashemayim, Walla Baham, Salaki, Walla Bahamath, Ha'arataza, Wa'ayan, Macharyaka. Verse 27. Yakaka, Yahweh, Bashakyawan. It's like a Bashakyan. Matazariah. It's like it. Matazariah. Matazariah. What about Ipalia? Wabatakar, Wabatacharium, Wabanar, Slakia, Wabagarab, Wabacharas, Ashar, La'ah, Thawalak, Slaki, Thawakal, Laharapa'ah. Verse 28. Ikaka Yahweh, Bashanai, it's like a Bashagai one. Wabai. It's like a what? Ba'ayawar yun. Ba'ayawar. What about the Ma? What about the Ma'awan? Labah. Okay, those are the first 7 verses. Lakia. Let's get it in the English. Deuteronomy. Let's start at verse 22. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 22. The Most High shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. Now this is what we have to understand, to give you a backdrop. This is the curses from the Lord, man. When we are a cursed people, man, we have to understand that when we do not listen to the Lord, and we do not obey God's laws, statutes, and commandments, we become a cursed people. These curses fall upon us, and these curses overtake so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in the community, in the ghetto, in the hood, in the projects where we live and where we dwell in our habitations, man. Like, this is what happens to us when we don't follow and listen to the Lord. The Lord said, shall smite thee with a consumption and with a fever. Like, you have to understand that the Lord is going to consume us, and not just any way how, but with a fever. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we are a very sick people. We are a very sick race of people, and it's sad. We have cancer. We have all type of diseases. It says, and with an inflammation. Like, we are very sick people, man. We are very sick people. We're number one in all diseases. We're number one in HIV and AIDS. Even though we make a small percentage of the LGBTQ plus IA community, we are number one in HIV and AIDS. That's why the Lord said, and with a fever, and with an inflammation. Like, we are number one in all diseases. That's why we get gout and lung cancer and all these type of cancer and thyroid cancer and liver cancer and lung cancer. And we have diabetes, man, and dying from diabetic strokes and dying from strokes and heart attacks and heart disease and having high blood pressure and dying in our 40s and dying in our 50s. The Lord said with a fever and with inflammation, man. Because we are going against the Lord, we have become a very, very sick people. We have become very, very vulnerable to most diseases on the earth that we should have never been vulnerable to. Like, because of the unclean lifestyle we live, and because of the lifestyle we live, and what we eat and what we do and how we dress and etc., we become vulnerable to these diseases from these other nations and these other races of people. Like, this is something that we have to understand. This is what happens to us. That's why the Lord says, shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with inflammation. Like, this is what happens. And with an extreme burning. Meaning we are in with an extreme burning, man. This is why we're a very sick people and we catch all these type of diseases, man. With an extreme burning, man. Like, in the inside and the outside, we are burning up, man. We are burning up. That's why we have HIV and AIDS. We get chlamydia. We get gonorrhea. We get herpes. We get crabs. We whatever STDs that are out there, whatever STI, syphilis, and all these things. It says with an extreme burning. When we want to disobey God and have sex with whores and have sex with prostitutes, or be a woman that has sex with more than one man, it says with an extreme burden. This is what happens to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. This is what happens when we go against the Lord. These are curses brought down from the Lord because we are not keeping his commandments. Alright? And with the sword. And it says, and with the sword, man. Like, our enemies are against us, man. Like, and with the sword, these curses are against us. Our enemies are against us, and we are against each other. We're killing each other in the projects. We're killing each other in Norfolk, in Chesapeake, in Suffolk, in Norfolk, in Newport News, in Hampton, in Virginia Beach. We're killing each other, and guess who else is killing each other? Our enemy, America's police department. They're also killing us and harassing us. It says, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew. Mildew is, if you don't know what mildew is a substance that comes from not being clean, all right? In damp areas of not being clean, right? It says, and with, meaning the Lord is sending uncleanness, all type of uncleanness to us, man. And they shall pursue thee until thou perish. And these things shall pursue us until we are dead and gone, 6 feet deep under in the goddamn ground, because we don't want to know no better, nor do we want to get better. The problem is with the Christian church. Christianity doesn't teach blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that they are sick. As a race of people, as a nation people, the Christian church does not teach our people that we are a sick people and we are sick and we need help. We need help from Christianity. Like, even a drug addict knows that they are sick and they are not supposed to be high on crack. Even a drug addict that's on heroin knows that they should not be on the heroin and it's going to kill them and they're sick. They know this. Drug addicts know this, right? But the Christian church is so evil and so wicked that they don't know that they're sick. They don't know what they're doing is wrong, and we're dying because of it. And we're being killed because of it. And the Lord is against us because of it. Verse 23. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. So it says the heaven above, it says and thy heaven, meaning the sky, that is over thy head shall be brass, meaning what comes from the sky, we're not going to get what's needed from the sky, right? Now we have to understand that this is Israelite culture, right? This is Israelite culture, right? And in the Israelite culture, we were farmers. We were into agriculture, meaning we produced our wealth from the land. We produced our money and our economic structure from the land, from farming, having cattle, grass, fruits, vegetables, etc., etc. We produced our economic structure from the land. We produced our wealth from the land. That's what the Israelites did. And because of so, we need certain things from the sky in order to produce wealth from the land, like rain. You need rain in order to grow. If you have no rain in your area, then you are not going to be able to grow anything. Nor are you going to be able to collect water and purify the water and allow your animals to drink and live and survive. This is how Israelites survived, right? We survived off the land. We produced our wealth off the land. We established an economic structure from the land. And it says, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. Meaning the land is not going to produce any fruit. Like iron, that's a metal. Meaning nothing grows from metal. Nothing grows from brass. Right? So the land that's underneath us isn't going to bear any fruit. No any grass, no trees, no nothing. That's going to destroy an economic structure. That can destroy someone's wealth from generation to generation to generation. This is very, very important to understand when it comes to serving the Lord, when it comes to keeping His laws, statutes, and commandments. Like we can talk about economic structure in the Bible. We can talk about generational wealth in the Bible. We can talk about economics in the Bible. We can. But it deals with keeping God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Nowhere on this earth can you generate wealth without having land. Alright? That's another point too. Nowhere on this earth, not in America, not in Africa, not in Asia, not in Russia, you cannot establish economic structure. You cannot produce wealth or generational wealth without having land. Land gives you resources. Land gives you fruits. Land gives you vegetables. Land gives you horses. Land gives you cows. Land gives you chickens. Land gives you turkey. The land gives you lambs and sheep. Right? These are different things that can produce wealth. Land gives you rubber. Land gives you medicine. Chemicals come from the land. Those chemicals in our medicines, they're like something chloride and biomide and biomine and all this other type of stuff and all these vitamins that we take, that comes from the earth. That comes from the land. And guess what? The medical business, and guess what? The medical business anywhere on this earth, right, is very successful. This is how you generate wealth. This is how you establish economic structure. This is finances in the Bible as well. You cannot establish economic structure or generational wealth without land. Land gives you resources. Land gives you medicine. Land gives you all types of things. You cannot produce wealth. That water that you go to the store every day and buy comes from the land. That's resources. You spend $5 almost every other week, or $10 for 2 cases of water every other week, so you can have water and stay hydrated and not die from dehydration. Now imagine the thousands of people buying 2 cases of water every other week. That's a lot of money, whoever's selling those waters. Land gives you resources. You cannot establish an economic structure or establish generational wealth without land, without aratazah, land in Hebrew, without land. Verse 24. Yahweh, the Most High, shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee, unto thou be destroyed. It says, from heaven shall it come down upon thee, unto thou be destroyed. So it says, and shall make thy rain, and make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee, until thou be destroyed. Meaning the Lord is going to continue to destroy us if we do not keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. This is in the Bible. It says, make the rain of thy land powder and dust. Powder and dust does absolutely nothing for the land. It does absolutely nothing for the people, and it will literally suffocate. It will literally suffocate you as a human. From heaven shall it come down upon thee, unto thou be destroyed. That's what the Lord says. Verse 25. And the Most High shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Like, this is what the Lord said was going to happen. You are going to be smitten before thine enemies. Guess what? The Lord just said we have enemies as so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We have enemies as a race of people. We have enemies as a nation of people. And thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them. Meaning we are going to flee away from them in different directions because we are in danger. Because our enemies are going to kill us and murder us and gun us down in the streets like dogs, like exactly what's happening in America. It's not a coincidence that when we get pulled over in traffic stops, we get the hell out of the vehicle and we start running for our goddamn lives because we know that we are going to be murdered regardless if we stay in the car or regardless if we won or regardless if we run. Like, this is what happens, man. This is why it's so important to come back to God's laws, statutes, and commandments. This is why it's so important to keep God's laws, statutes, and commandments and not go against the Lord and not go against the Most High. Verse 26. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. Like, we're going to be murdered so much, and we're going to be killed so much, and lived so much, that we're not even going to have a proper burial at times. This was very common in times of slavery. This was very common in the time of the 1700s into the early 1900s, that our bodies would be left to hang, or our bodies would be left in the street to rot and die after our oppressor, our enemy, murdered us, killed us, or lynched us, or hung us from a goddamn tree. This was very common. They would, and no one could grab their body until they say so. And that could be your mother, your father, your uncle, your auntie, your brother, your sister. Our oppressor lynched and murdered and hung 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 11-year-olds. You know how goddamn evil that is? You know how goddamn evil that is that they take your 5-year-old daughter and lynch them on a goddamn tree, and you have to walk past her body for more than 4 and 5 days? You know how terrible that is? You know how disgusting that is? You know how evil that is? And these bastards want us to forget that. These bastards want us to forget that. I pray that the Lord comes tomorrow and slaughter every last Edomite in this goddamn planet. I pray for it. I pray for it. It's absolutely disgusting. Salaki. Verse 27. The Most High will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, where thou canst not be healed. Like, if we do not keep God's laws, statutes, and commandments, we are going to suffer the same fate. We're going to suffer the same fate of Egypt, man. That's why it's important to not go against the Lord and keep God's laws, statutes, and commandments. We do not want to suffer the same fate of Egypt. nor do we want to suffer the same fate of America according to the Bible. Like, this is what the Bible says. This is not what we're saying. We're not targeting a certain race of people. We are not targeting a certain class or ethnic group of people. The Bible is just targeting a certain race of people for the crimes they committed against God's people in the Bible. You understand? Let's continue. Verse 29. It's like in verse 28. And the Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. Like, this is something to understand. This is something to look at. Alright? That's something to look at, man. Like, we gotta come back to God's law, statutes, and commandments, man. We gotta come back to the Lord. Alright? We gotta come back to His law, statutes, and commandments immediately, as soon as possible, man. Because we are being destroyed as a race of people. We are being destroyed as a nation of people. Alright? With that, I say Amadu, which means to stand, only us up here. Lord, that's all. Almighty, which means to stand. Everyone can stand. Sword. Panyawa Hakwadam, which means turn and face the east. We're going to do the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabashamai, Kodash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakufka, Daba'a, Kutazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamai, Nathanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalat Nawa, Kabawak Nawa, Kasalat Nawa, Kabawak Nawa, Wala'a, Tabiya'a Nawa, Banasayawa, Abor, Harashai Nawa, Mayar, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Watapara, La Awalabya, Aman. In the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in the earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Hakak, the power, in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Babu Kusha, Nathan Nawa, Hakak, Lava Pa'a, Chamakala, Bukam Manawa, Hakak, Latahar, Hamatazariah, Hakak, Lahakwayim, Hamakim, Hakak, Avachawa, Hatama'ala, Lagarashad, Ba'ashim Yahushai, the water Amman. In the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahushua, thank you, so be it. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'a, Ayanya, Ahohaya, Ma'ayah, Yaba'a, Isaiah, Ma'ay, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemaiah, Wa'arataza, Ayathan, Lamarat, Ragalka, Al-Yanawam, Shemarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yajashun, Shawamar, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shemarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al-Yah, Yamninka, Yawamam, Hashemash, La'a, Yakaka, Wayarak, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makawara, Yashamar, Afnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza'afka, Wawa'aka, Ma'ita, Wa'ai, Awalam, Aman. In the English, I will lift up my eyes into the hills, from which cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. So be it. Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alahai, al damayalaka, al takarash, wa al tashakwat, al kayahana, awayadika, Yahama Yawan, Wamashanayaka, Nasha'awa, Ra'ash, Al Imaka, Ya'arayamwa, Sawa, Wayata Ya'ai Tazawa, Al Tazapuwanika, Amara, Lakawa, Wanahakidam, Magoya, Wala'a, Yazakar, Shem Yasha'ala, Aiwad, Kaya, Nawa'ai Tazawa, La, Yahadwa, Aldika, Baya, Yakarafwa, Ahahoya, Arawa, Wayashama'aliyam, Mara'aba, Wahagoya, Gabor, Wa Amawan, Wa Amalak, Palashat, Am Yashabya, Tazawar, Gam Ashawar, Nalawa, Imam, Hayawa, Zawawai, Labanya Lawat, Salah, Aisha Laham, Kamadian, Kasaya, Saba'a, Kayabya, Manakar, Koyashwan, Nashamadwa, Ba'ayan Da'ara, Hayawa, Daman, La Adama, Wakazaba, Slakit, La Adama, Shayathamwa, Nadayamawa, Ka'ira, Wakaza'aba, Wakazabak, Wakazalmanai, Kal, Nasayakamwa, Ashar, Amara, Nayarasha, Lanoa, Na'awa, Alahaya, Alahaya, Shayathamwa, Kagagala, Kukwash, Lapanya Waka, Ka'ash, Taba'ayra Ayra, Wakalahaba, Wakasawa Slagit, Wakalahaba, Talahat, Hoya, Ka, Taradatma, Basa Araka, Wakasawa Paka, Dabahalam, Mala'a, Panyaham, Kwalawan, Wayabakwashwa, Shamkaya Hawa, Yabaswa, Wayabahalwa, Aya Ay, Wayahaparwa, Wayabadwa, Wayada'aywa, Kaya, Afa, Shamka, Yahweh, Labarka, Ayawan, Al, Kal, Harataza, Aman. In the English, keep not thy silence, O Yahweh, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more remembrance. For they are consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the children of Lot, Salah, Slakit, Amalek, the Philistines, and the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher also is joined with them. They have opened the children of Lot, Salah, do unto them, as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kasai, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeeb. Yea, all their princes, as Abba and as Amuna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of Yahweh in possession. All my power, make them like a wheel, as the stone before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Yahweh, let them be confounded, in trouble forever. Yea, let them be put to shame, and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the Most High over all the earth. So be it. The blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, wa Yahweh Shai, wa Mayagi Ta'ala, wa Alahayim, Matazad Ya'ah, Alawat Yahana, Alawat Yahana, Ha Alawatyin, Ha Saranyim, Ha Kudazayanyim, Ha Sayayoyim, wa Ha'awafyin, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, the water of man. In the English, bless you Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yahana, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shah, thank you, so be it. We bless Israel in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Barak Noah, Wajah Sha'ala, Wahab Yasafari, Barak, Rapah, Magan, Hagad, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, the water Aman. What we just said was, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shah, bless us and Israel and the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect. In the name of Yahweh Shah, thank you, so be it. Sar, which means to turn. Akwakin only can be seated. Men of Israel, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Men of Israel, Aman Shabbat, Aman, Barak, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah B'Kathah, Yada Matah, Sar La'akwaki, which means turn to the sisters. Amaya, sisters, you can now stand. Men of Israel, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Aman Shabbat, Aman, Barak, Yahweh Shamar Alathan, Bahashim Yahweh Shah. Yad Matah. With that, class dismissed.